Before we dive in, I want to clarify something important. Civil servants and public servants aren't exactly the same. Civil servants are government employees who typically work behind the scenes to support the functions of the government, like those in administrative roles. Public servants, on the other hand, include people who interact directly with the public, such as teachers, police officers, firefighters, medical professionals, sanitation workers, and transit workers. While these roles overlap in their service to society, I'll be discussing both in a two-part episode, since they often share similar challenges. Every day, countless public servants, teachers, police officers, paramedics, social workers, firefighters, and medical professionals put their lives on the line to serve our communities. They don't just go to work. They step into roles that require resilience, compassion, and sacrifice. But here's the question we often overlook. Who takes care of those that take care of us? In 2025, the challenges these professionals face has evolved. Outdated policies, growing societal pressures, and the sheer volume of crises they handle daily have made their jobs harder than ever before. And yet, the systems meant to support them, both on and off the clock, remain largely inadequate. Hidden challenges. Teachers are dealing with overcrowded classrooms, underfunded schools, and increased expectations to act as counselors, mediators, and even protectors during crises like school shootings. Many are forced to take work home, grading papers or creating lesson plans late into the night, with little time to decompress. Police officers. The role of a police officer has become more complex with heightened scrutiny, new technology, and mental health crisis on the rise. Officers today are expected to act as mental health counselors and conflict negotiators, all while facing unprecedented levels of public criticism and physical danger. Paramedics and medical professionals. For paramedics and medical staff, the pandemic has left long-lasting scars. Burnout, PTSD from witnessing trauma, and insufficient staffing mean these professionals are stretched to their limits, often with little support to recover mentally or emotionally. Firefighters. Daily exposure to life-threatening situations, physical exhaustion, and psychological trauma from responding to fires, accidents, and disasters often face limited resources for mental health care, especially for processing post-traumatic stress. They have low pay, and long hours are common issues. Correctional officers. This one's obvious. They work in high-stress environments where the risk of violence and exposure to trauma is constant. They often lack sufficient mental health support and face societal stigma regarding their roles. Public transit workers. Example, bus drivers, subway operators. They deal with harassment, safety risks, and physical strain. They're often overlooked in discussions of public service despite their essential roles in urban infrastructure. Military personnel and veterans face immense psychological and physical challenges during and after service, including PTSD, physical injuries, and reintegration struggles, insufficient support systems for transitioning back to civilian life. What's even harder to grasp is what happens after their shift ends. These professionals go home to their families, sometimes carrying the weight of the day in silence. The cost of unaddressed trauma. The impacts of these jobs doesn't just affect the workers, they affect their families. Imagine coming home after witnessing a traumatic accident, hearing a student's cry for help, or being in a life-threatening situation. How do you explain that to your loved one? How do you process it yourself? Unfortunately, many public servants don't have the tools or resources they need to decompress, heal, or transition back into their personal lives. Outdated policies and a lack of mental health support leave them vulnerable to burnout, depression, and sometimes even suicide. Why the general public should care. If you were ever in an emergency scenario and you had one of these professionals taking care of you, I'm pretty sure you'd care. Truth is, Most of us couldn't fathom what it's like to do what they do. And we shouldn't have to, but we should care. Because when these systems fail our public servants, it's not just them who suffer, it's all of us. When a teacher burns out, our kids lose. When a paramedic quits, response times get longer. When a police officer struggles mentally, their judgment on the job can be affected. Solutions for a better future. So what can we do to help? Here are some ideas to advocate for the well-being of public servants and their families, because they matter just as much as we matter. Accessible mental health services. Employers need to provide free or subsidized therapy and peer support groups tailored to each profession's unique challenges. Mandatory mental health check-ins could also help identify issues early on. Public servants should have structured time to transition between work and home, whether it's on-site wellness rooms, end-of-shift decompressing exercises, or flexible schedules. This time is crucial. Updated training and policies. Outdated policies that ignore the current pressures of these roles must be re-examined. For example, teachers could probably benefit with smaller class sizes, and police officers could make a world of difference with better training in recognizing key mental health crises. Support for families. Families of public servants should have access to counseling and resources to understand and cope with the challenges their loved ones face. Community support programs. As a society, we can create more programs to show appreciation, like offering discounts, community events, or recognition days that go beyond just a pat on the back. Call to action. Whether it's volunteering in community support programs or simply checking in on a public servant you know, we all have a role to play. So let's not just say we appreciate our public servants. Let's show it. Their health, their families, their future, and our future depends on it. I want to take a moment to acknowledge that while these professions require immense mental strength, dedication, and resilience, no one is invincible. Even the strongest and most mentally tough individual can feel the weight of what they experience daily in these roles. It's important to recognize that being impacted by stress or trauma doesn't mean someone is weak. It means they're human. The nature of these jobs is inherently stressful, and the challenges are often compounded by systemic issues like lack of support, inadequate pay, or outdated policies. So while some individuals may seem to handle the pressure better than others, everyone in these fields deserves the support, resources, and recognition to thrive, both professionally and personally. Because at the end of the day, no one can carry this kind of burden entirely alone. Thanks for watching. If it resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe to help spread the message. Let's create a world where those who serve us are truly supported. Until next time, thanks for going on this adventure with me, Amber Von Kier.